Universal City opened March 15th, 1915. Carl Laemmle was the founder. He came to America from Germany and started out showing movies in his own theaters. Then he started distributing movies, and then he started making movies. And then in 1914, he bought the land that you're on right now, when this was nothing but a second-rate chicken ranch. And then Universal City opened up March 15th of 1915. That makes this the oldest working movie studio in the world you're about to take a look at today. And the first part of the studio we're going to see is coming up on your left-hand side. We're going to explore the front lot first. And the first thing we're going to see is the oldest and largest soundstage at Universal Studios. You're about to see it on your left-hand side. This is old number 12 over here. Today it's home to NBC's singing competition, The Voice. They are filming The Voice today, in fact, in front of a live studio audience inside of Soundstage 12. They're currently working on the 17th season of The Voice. But some of the most epic sets in Universal history have been built on Stage 12. I'll throw a few of them on your screen just to give you an idea about what's been in there. Frankenstein's Laboratory, Dracula's Castle, Scarface's Mansion, Old Doc Brown up on the clock tower, and the Welcome Center from Jurassic Park, just to name a few. We've got 28 of these sound stages in all in the studio, and each one of them has decades and decades of production history inside of it. You got up your screen now, you can see what one looks like on the inside when it's empty. The walls are covered in this quilt-like material that makes these buildings about 98% soundproof, giving filmmakers almost total control over sound and light, which are the two most essential ingredients in filmmaking. The two stages we're passing now, 17 and 16 over on your left, this is where they film NBC's comedy Superstore, which they're filming today. Superstore takes place inside of a fictional megastore called Cloud 9, and Cloud 9 is what takes up both of those sound stages back there on your left side. And since every episode of that show takes place in that store, that set stays there all year long, even when they're in their hiatus in between seasons. They just came back from that hiatus to begin filming the 5th season of Superstore, which they are filming today here on your left side on Soundstage 21. Any scenes that don't take place in the store, all those sets are built on 21. Offices, break rooms, characters' houses, anything they need for just an individual episode. All the trailers you see here, this is the base camp for Superstore. These are the dressing rooms for the actors right here in the front. But they also have hair and makeup, wardrobe, everything you need for a production that you can't put in a soundstage ends up in a trailer out front. And when they go to film on location in the real world, you just have to hook those things up to trucks and the whole thing becomes mobile. Now, when you finish filming an episode, the first place you would take all that footage to would be the building on your left. This is the post-production building where all the editing takes place. So a director might film dozens of hours of footage and then bring it here to have it cut down into a 22-minute television show and add in commercial breaks, or a 2-hour-long movie, as the case may be. And coming up next, you're going to see the scene shop here on your left. This is just one of our mini shops here at the studio. This is where they're mainly building interior walls for the sets here. And as we get to the end of the building, if you look to your left, you'll see what they do with them when they finish building them. So they build the interiors inside of there, and then they load them up on these carts with wheels you can see here to the left. They send them off to a sound stage where they get assembled, and then they film on whichever sets that have been set up to be filmed for that day. And back to the right side, stage 44 coming up. This was the home of the comedy The Good Place for NBC, but they just finished filming the very last episode of it last week. It starred Ted Danson, Kristen Bell. There's Ted Danson's empty parking space on the right. And if that makes you sad, Ted the Bear's on the left to give you cheer. They finished striking the set from The Good Place, though, and now they're setting up to start filming a new episode of the show Good Girls on stage 44. Good Girls, if you've never seen it before, here's a poster for it coming up on the right. It's 3 suburban moms that rob a grocery store to make ends meet and get drawn deeper and deeper into a life of crime. Christina Hendricks, Retta, and Mae Whitman are the stars. They're coming back for a 3rd season this fall. But before anybody films anything, you got to go through pre-production, and that's what happens in these bungalows on our left side. These used to be dressing rooms for the big stars early in Universal history. Today, these are home to some of the biggest production companies in Hollywood. Jennifer Lopez has New Yorican Productions over on your left. She does the show World of Dance for NBC. Mark Platt has his production office back there. He did La La Land, and they're working on bringing Wicked to the big screen next. And here on the left is Elizabeth Banks' Brownstone Studios. They're doing the new Charlie's Angels movie that'll be out soon. And the final bungalow belonged to legendary director Alfred Hitchcock. You can see his silhouette by the front door. Now home to the De Laurentiis production company, run by Martha De Laurentiis. They have a long history of producing movies and television in Hollywood. Here's our two brand new sound stages next, 22 and 23. These are called the Will and Grace sound stages, after the Emmy Award-winning show Will and Grace that films here. They were rehearsing the new episode of Will and Grace just today. Usually they'll rehearse 2 or 3 days, and then they film in front of a live studio audience at the end of the week or middle of the week, depends on when they start their week out. But before Will and Grace got back here, America's Got Talent was the last show filming on these stages. Jennifer Lopez does World of Dance here. And the very first production ever on the new stages was the musical Hairspray Live. They don't need a base camp here because they have dressing rooms and offices built right onto these sound stages. So, interior scenes are filmed on sound stages, but when it's time to go outside to film, you would come out here to the back lot. If you look to the right, this begins the Universal backlot, where we have our large-scale outdoor sets. These are the Metro sets. So if your production happens to be set in a city,